The company that was breached last year did not store your password. They stored a hash of your password, a one-way mathematical transformation of it. They told you this was safe. What they did not tell you is that a single modern GPU can test 8 billion MD5 hashes per second. If your password is a word from the dictionary with a number at the end, it falls in under a second. If it is 8 random lowercase letters, it falls in about an hour. If it is the name of your dog with a capital letter and an exclamation mark, an attacker who has seen your Instagram already tried that first. Here is exactly how this works. When you set a password on a website, the site should not store your actual password, it stores a hash. A hash function like SHA-256 or bcrypt takes any input and produces a fixed-length output that looks like random data. The same input always produces the same output, but the function is designed to be one-way. You cannot reverse a hash to find the original password mathematically. To verify your password at login, the site hashes what you typed and compares it to the stored hash. If they match, you are in. Attackers who steal a database of hashes cannot directly read your passwords. They have to compute the hash of potential passwords and look for matches. The primary tool for cracking hashes is Hashcat, an open-source GPU accelerated password recovery tool. Hashcat supports over 300 hash types and can leverage consumer graphics cards to test passwords at extraordinary speed. An RTX 4090 can test approximately 164 billion MD5 hashes per second. The speed varies dramatically by hash algorithm. bcrypt, designed to be slow, runs at roughly 100,000 attempts per second on the same hardware. This is why algorithm choice matters more than people realize. A password that would take 5 seconds to crack against an MD5 hash might take 50 years against bcrypt. Attackers do not start with random guessing. They start with word lists. The RockU word list, derived from a 2009 breach of 32 million user passwords, contains the most commonly used real passwords in order of frequency. It is 133 megabytes of real passwords people chose. Hashcat processes every entry in that list in seconds. After word lists come rule-based attacks, applying transformations to word list entries. Capitalize the first letter, append 123, replace E with 3. These rules encode the specific ways humans modify words to meet password complexity requirements. A password policy requiring one capital, one number, and one symbol does not create strong passwords. It creates predictably transformed weak ones. Rainbow tables were the earlier version of password cracking at scale, pre-computed tables mapping hashes back to passwords, trading storage for computation time. Modern sites defend against rainbow tables by adding a unique random value called a salt to each password before hashing, so the same password produces different hashes for different users. This defeats rainbow tables, but does not help against brute force. Attackers simply compute hashes with the known salt for each account. Salting is necessary but not sufficient. The hashing algorithm and its cost factor remain the critical variables. Credential stuffing is a related attack that does not require cracking at all. In this attack, the attacker takes a list of username and password pairs from one breach and tests them against other services. Because password reuse is endemic, roughly 65% of people reuse passwords. A credential pair stolen from a gaming forum might work at the user's banking login. Automated tools run millions of these tests per hour against every major platform. Your account might have been compromised by credential stuffing without any breach of the service you use, just a breach of a service you forgot you ever used. Password length is the single most important variable. The time to crack a password grows exponentially with length. An 8-character random alphanumeric password falls in hours to days. A 12-character one takes decades. A 16-character random password is functionally uncrackable by current hardware. The entropy that matters is not character complexity. Capital letters and symbols add roughly 1 bit of entropy per character, but length. A randomly generated 16-character lowercase string is stronger than a 12-character string, with mandatory symbols. A passphrase of 5 random words, correct horse battery staple, is both memorable and strong. Have I been pwned? HaveItBeenPwned.com is a free service run by security researcher Troy Hunt that aggregates data from known breach databases. You can check whether your email address appears in known breaches and, more importantly, check whether specific passwords appear in breach databases. Entering a candidate password into their password check API computes a partial hash and queries the database without ever sending your actual password. If your password appears in any known breach, even from a site you do not recognize, it should be considered compromised. For enterprise environments, enforcing minimum password lengths rather than complexity requirements aligns with NIST guidelines updated in 2020. NIST, Special Publication 863 billion, now recommends against mandatory complexity rules, periodic forced password changes, and security questions, all of which research shows reduce actual security by encouraging predictable patterns. Instead, minimum length of 12 to 15 characters, check new passwords against known breach word lists and reject any match, and require no forced changes unless there is evidence of compromise. 1 billion hash attempts per second. Real passwords trained on how humans actually construct them. Credential stuffing running around the clock against every platform. The password you chose, because it satisfied the complexity requirements, was probably in a cracking word list before you typed it. Length is the answer. Random characters are the answer. A password manager generating them is the answer. If you want to understand how breached password databases get compiled and what happens to them after a company is hacked, our video on how password managers work covers the LastPass incident and what it means for everyone who had a vault stolen. Cracking is what happens after a vault leaks. The other half of the story is the software meant to protect those passwords in the first place. If this stayed with you, how password managers work goes further, including what the LastPass breach means for everyone who had a vault stolen. It is on this channel.